Welcome to the Human Nature Channel. I'm your host, Alex Tamsula, and what am I doing here? Well, it still happens to be Tuesday night here at my dad's utilitarian farm garage. I call it utilitarian because pegboard is well represented. In fact, I'm staring at some of it right now. It happens to be behind the medicine chest with the mirrored door, and behind the microwave oven, and behind the new cabinet that we bought used, which, going by the decals, looks like it came out of some redneck auto repair shop. But pegboard? Let me show you some pegboard. Pegboard! Well, there's usually something interesting here in my dad's garage. What can I show you tonight? Well, I happen to have this big ass clamp. It's got a wooden handle on it. Righty means tighty. You may have noticed I have a paper towel wrapped around the handle. That's because this thing is as greasy as hell. I found that out the hard way. Now, this is the place where I usually say, I think I have everything I need. Unfortunately, I don't have anything I need because I've run out of knickknacks to show you. Oh my goodness, it's the end of the world. I do have one thing, though. These are my balls. They were a gift. No, they're really mine. I think they're called Benway balls. They have chimes inside. Big enough for both hands. I guess the idea is while you play with them, they relax you. I can't get too relaxed. I do want to finish this video before the sun comes up. It's kind of like meditation, but you know, I never had a lot of luck with meditation. I remember one time I had this tape. It was a guided meditation. Put it into the tape machine, put on the headphones, and I heard this voice. And the voice said, you're walking through a forest, and you come upon a clearing. And in the center of the clearing is a pond. And at the edge of the pond is a marble bench. And beyond the woods, in the distance, you see a snow-capped mountain. I wanted to spit in the pond, smash the bench with a sledgehammer, torch the woods, and nuke the fucking mountain. No, meditation isn't for me. That said, why don't we pick this up back at my apartment? What do you say? Here are words I never thought I'd hear coming out of my mouth, but it seems as if cancel culture has finally made its way into the Las Vegas shooting truth community. And cancel culture's newly crowned king is, wait for it, all hail His Majesty, Jason Goodman, the conspiratorial, sworn enemy of social engineers all around the world, who is not above a little social engineering himself as he plays gatekeeper, possibly aligning himself with drug addicts or people who babble like drug addicts, protecting you from big bad Mike Turber because Mike might actually persuade you to see things his way. Ooh, we can't have that, can we? First, in Las Vegas shooting truth community news, I'd like to thank Sue J for leaving a link in the comments to my video number 42. Of course you know this means war. alerting me to the fact that Mike Turber has a backup channel for 5x5 News, which I was not aware of at the time. From a YouTube video on Mike Turber's backup 5x5 channel titled The Human Nature Channel, Alex Speaks Out About 5x5 Channel Takedown, I did capture an interesting graphic. What does this say? Hi 5x5 News. Due to multiple copyright strikes associated with the videos below, your YouTube account has now been disabled. Video titled 5x5 News / Jason Goodman has it all figured out, LOL. Takedown issued by Jason Goodman. Video titled 5x5 News / Living Rent Free in Nutterville, takedown issued by Truth Bomb, and video titled 5x5 News / Nutter Defending Nutters in Nutterville, takedown issued by Truth Bomb. Well, we now know for sure who the scoundrels are, because only scoundrels would do something like this. Mike is not completely off of YouTube, as you can see, although that must be small consolation when it comes to having a lot of hard work go down the drain in one day, like it did with Mike's main channel. Here is the rotten thing about people shutting down anybody's YouTube channel. It was meant to hurt. Mike asked me if he could use my 7+ minute defense of him from my video number 42, and I told him he could use whatever he wanted. I was happy to give him permission to do this. Why? Because what we have lost with the removal of 5x5 News' main channel is something that is in short supply in a lot of LVS YouTube investigation videos. Authenticity. Mike is angry. His anger is not a put-on, and being something of a guy who is angry myself, I'm drawn to his content. Of course, it's important to be angry about the right thing at the right time, as Aristotle said on the subject. So the question is, what is Mike angry about? He is angry at the people who he views as exploiting the 58 dead from the Las Vegas shooting, and the wounded, and the families affected, and the non-wounded but traumatized, and he is not shy about calling out the people doing this. To all the people who had a hand in shutting Mike down, do you actually believe you're doing the victims of the Las Vegas shooting any favors? Mike is angry at the hustlers, the people who would rather hallucinate possible explanations as to why the Route 91 Harvest Festival massacre happened, rather than methodically follow the facts. In Mike's mind, as far as I can tell, these YouTube content creators are harming the victims. Like the creators who, for some twisted reason, still push the idea of frozen bodies being shipped in like so many TV dinners, or at least tolerated in their live streams. Have you Mike haters forgotten all the stupid things that were said about Melissa Ramirez? Apparently so, and it's doubly sick because some of the Mike haters were the ones who were saying it. There is a bigger issue here. Extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence leading to a startling conclusion, not the other way around. This cuts right to the heart of the problem with people like Goodman alumnus John Cullen. I'll quote Cullen, "I don't have proof, I have evidence." Think for a moment about how absolutely empty that claim is. It's a verbal shell game where Cullen sounds as if he's saying something important when he's basically saying he has nothing of consequence. Cullen believes the shooting in Las Vegas on October 1st, 2017 came from helicopters. Think about this. It's supposedly Saudi Arabia's Air National Guard. That makes Saudi Arabia responsible for the actions of its own people. You couldn't hide the diplomatic stink that would raise. What if a U.S. Coast Guard boat sailed out of U.S. territorial waters and down the coast of Baja and shot up a Mexican fishing village? Do you think you could actually hide something like that? People in Mexico would be screaming the United States was responsible. But a branch of the Saudi military has helicopters full of shooters firing on a country music festival, and nobody in the U.S. Congress is outraged demanding answers? Cullen is out of his mind. In an early Cullen video, he made an appeal to Stephen Paddock's mother. "Oh, Mrs. Paddock," Cullen says, "you may think your son was behind the shooting in the Route 91 Harvest Festival massacre, but we'll show this is not the case." What Cullen doesn't seem to get through his thick skull is that Paddock had to be involved at some level. Whether he was a lone perpetrator or a cog in a bigger machine, all the paper trails lead to him. He bought the guns. He's on CCTV recordings lugging all those suitcases around. Yeah, maybe Paddock is part of some blame the dead guy scenario. I've seen this before with people like Vince Foster and Lee Harvey Oswald, even though I'd like to keep such ideas on the back burner until I see proof. But treating Stephen Paddock like he was some innocent bystander should get you laughed out of the room in a perfect world. Unfortunately, as we have seen from events of the last week, we live in a far from perfect world. Paddock was found dead in a hotel room full of guns, and that's not important to people like John Cullen. I, for one, am glad Mike got angry at activity like this from a bum like Cullen, because at best it's amateurish and at worst it's strictly scumbag. I get angry about it too, because I see it for what it is. Alt media, in this case, crowdsourced the truth, specifically becoming a new source of authoritarianism based on sensationalism and just a game to separate dizzy people from their money. To keep the cash stream going, or in the case of those hoping for donations in some trickle-down fashion to land on them like bird poop, they'll resort to worse than underhanded tactics to torpedo Mike's channel. I'd ask Truth Bomb and Jason Goodman this. What's the difference between having Mike's channel taken down and book burning? Because I can't see where there is a difference. Goodman spends a lot of time lately talking about social engineers. But even though he has identified Mike Turber as a social engineer, he has yet to take any credit for taking down 5x5 News on Twitter. What's the matter, Jason? Aren't you proud of what you've done? Don't you want the world to know you've taken down the YouTube channel of someone you've identified as such? It doesn't look like it. If you haven't subscribed to 5x5 News backup channel, you should do so. Let's make 5x5 News bigger than it was in the past and use it as a staging area to push back against these leeches. I can't think of a better punch in the nose to the likes of Jason Goodman, Truth Bomb, and Paladin than resuscitating 5x5 News. Can you? Next, we're going to spend a little time talking about the individual at the center of the latest Las Vegas Truth Community snipers duel, and that's our old friend Paladin. Some interesting information about Paladin has come my way. Paladin was involved with a California private investigation business called Southern California Intelligence Agency, or SCIA. When I first saw that name, I laughed so hard I almost bled from my dick. And I'll explain why in a moment. But here is a screenshot of what the website for the firm looked like. And here is what was written on it. We have a legal firm that we utilize exclusively for all court matters and a team of special operations personnel for all field work. The firm has an established reputation for money recovery with a team of former special operations personnel able to recover funds worldwide. Most of the stolen funds are moved into offshore accounts and are not recoverable through the normal channels. Because of this, we have developed efficient systems to beat the con artists at their own game. Excuse me for a second. Without giving away our techniques, we can promise you that if there is money stashed offshore, and if we are able to locate the perpetrator, we will recover your investment as well as our fees. Recovery methods are presented to the investors and a specific strategy is developed at that time. As an example, if liquid assets are identified in the United States, a civil court judgment may be the best option. If the assets are overseas, then other alternatives will be explored. Well, how about that? The website in question was, as you can see, called scia.com. It's gone now, taken down. But guess when it was taken down? That's right, that's 2017 staring you in the face. And we can see with the highlighted date that the last day the page was up was September 16th, 2017, 15 days before the Las Vegas shooting. I used the Internet Archive Wayback Machine to find SCIA's webpage and to find its last day. In case you don't know, the Wayback Machine crawls websites periodically and takes snapshots of them. It's useful in finding out when websites made changes or simply vanished. You'll find the link to Internet Archive Wayback Machine and SCIA.com in my notes section in case you'd like to try this yourself. Put SCIA.com in the search box and you'll see September 16, 2017 as the last date it was captured. That won't tell you precisely when the site was taken down, but you'll get the general idea. Here is where the Jiggery Pokery comes into play. King Jason can be seen on a video walking down a hallway in Mandalay Bay with Joe Napoli on the 32nd floor, although not the 100 wing, and he passes a picture of a butterfly on the wall. MK Ultra, says Jason, please, whatever you do, don't send Jason a copy of this book on monarch butterflies for his birthday because he'll clutch his chest and tumble over backwards in his chair, his feet sticking straight up. I know my conspiracy theory lore as well as the next guy, with MK Ultra as part of some kind of mind control operation run by the CIA back in the late 1950s and early 1960s. But Jason Goodman has to be nuts making that kind of a leap. He clearly wants to see conspiracy scenarios wherever he looks. He clearly wants you to see conspiracy scenarios wherever he looks too. So in that spirit, one wonders what he'd make of Paladin's PI firm when he learns it was called SCIA. Or maybe Jason knew about this all along. Jason is not only king of the internet backstabbers, but he also seems to be king of the internet hypocrites. Goodman has had Paladin on Crowdsource the Truth, and one must assume that if Jason played a role in taking down Mike Turber's YouTube channel, because of the timing, Jason and Paladin must be close allies. Jason stuck his neck out doing Paladin's dirty work for him, and you normally don't do that for a passing acquaintance. But here's what I don't understand. Jason will be triggered by a picture of a butterfly on the wall in a hotel hallway. Yet the acronym SCIA bothers him not one whit. Do you see the same disconnect here that I do? Now, I have serious questions about some of the people Jason Goodman promotes, like Paladin or Cullen or Laura Loomer. But the bigger question is, who is Jason Goodman himself? I have heard him say he was a cinematographer and he's talked about working in Hollywood. So you would think he would be easy to find in the Internet Movie Database? Well, there is a Jason Goodman listed as a cinematographer, but it's not the same Jason we've all come to know and love. Even a general Google search of Jason Goodman turns up little. The only thing I can say about him is this. He'll always be known as the guy on YouTube who took down another YouTuber. The coward who didn't have a legitimate copyright claim that he could pursue in a court, probably because there is no way to clearly assess damages. Instead, he's somebody who used the algorithm built into YouTube copyright protection to silence 5x5 News when a troubling question about a member of Goodman's network arose. And considering the mysterious things I pointed out about Paladin, you have to ask yourself why Paladin is in Goodman's network to begin with. Spread all the cards on the table, and it's pretty clear Paladin, under other circumstances, would have been an individual who had more than enough in his background to arouse Goodman's deep state suspicions, more than any picture on a wall. But it's hard to escape the feeling that Paladin is part of a ready-made network of Crowdsource the Truth guests where Jason can play Merv Griffin. I think we should note that the copyright claims against Mike Turber have effectively changed the subject. Talk about social engineering. Goodman and Truthbomb, putting their names on this hit, have given Paladin the opportunity to retreat into the complicated shadows, as Elvis Costello once called them, possibly pulling the strings from there. When you put it that way, Jason Goodman appears to be comporting with the very thing Crowdsource the Truth continuously rails against. Maybe Jason will have second thoughts someday about what he did, but right now he's just Paladin's errand boy. Finally, we will continue our look at Albert Garzon from my video number 39, Odds and Ends. I learned a few more things about him. Friends like Eric Peters pointed out some strange aspects to the story told by Albert. My video number 41, Albert Garzon in his own words, was a 15-minute excerpt from the interview Albert gave to the Behind the Smoke podcast, his eyewitness recollection of events leading up to the Las Vegas Route 91 Harvest Festival massacre. Albert's story is this. At 1:30 a.m. in the morning of October 1st, he and his wife and friends were partying in room 31135 directly below Stephen Paddock's room. Security came to their door and gave them a warning about the noise. A guest in a room had complained. About 45 minutes later, security came to the door again saying this was the second noise complaint and confirmed to Albert it was from the guest in the room above. Here is the problem. Stephen Paddock was not in his room when the complaint was lodged. He wasn't even in Las Vegas. According to the FIT report, Stephen Paddock had spent the day of September 30th at his home in Mesquite, Nevada, and didn't return to Mandalay Bay until a little after 3 a.m. on October 1st. This is big in a lot of ways. First of all, it's quite clear somebody other than Stephen Paddock was in room 32135. Second, going by the FIT report, the LVMPD never interviewed Albert Garzon about the noise complaint. Quite an oversight considering the FIT report covered all aspects of Stephen Paddock's movements starting on September 17th, including him removing a trash bag from his car while still at the Ogden. Somehow removing a trash bag is more important than a complaint from room 32135 at 1:30 in the morning on October 1st. Even though Fox 5 San Diego, one of the news outlets that covered Albert's version of events, reported that the FBI confirmed to CBS News the complaint had been from that room. So here we have somebody in that room before Paddock returns, a witness who is in the presence of guns whether they knew it or not, and nobody talked to them? Don't tell me that the LVMPD's and the FBI's investigation of the Las Vegas shooting wasn't a botch. Third, the Fox 5 San Diego video and story on Albert is incredibly misleading, making it sound as if Albert Garzon and his party went to the music festival only hours after the noise complaint, which is not true. Fox 5 even went so far as to make stuff up, saying that Albert left the concert because he had a bad feeling and was in the Mandalay Bay when the shooting started. Again, blatantly false. Albert was in a cab when he first learned what was happening. In his Behind the Smoke interview, Albert spells this all out, including a dig at the news media for making a hash of his story. Was Fox 5 San Diego just plain incompetent with their sloppy make-shit-up reporting? Or is this part of a deliberate media-driven cover-up of the facts? Either way, this story could be the wedge we need to get people to take a second look at the Las Vegas Route 91 Harvest Festival massacre. I'm going to do my damnedest to make that happen. Watch this space. This you could take to a lawyer or put before a judge. We'll sum this up with some oddities with regard to Albert Garzon that were pointed out to me. According to the FIT report, Paddock was in the room when Garzon tried his key in the room 32135 door at 10:54 p.m. on Friday night. What I didn't know until recently, and looked up myself on the lock interrogation report, was that the door to room 32134 was opened twice, 1 minute and 2 minutes before Garzon tried his key. At 10:52 p.m., room 32134 is opened from the inside, then closed. Did somebody leave? Was somebody let in? Did somebody look out in the hallway? At 10:53 p.m., room 32134 is opened again from the inside, then closed again. So it's opened twice in 2 minutes just before Garzon gets there. Then at 10:54 p.m., Albert Garzon tries his key card on 32135 and it doesn't work. This is why the LVMPD's fit report is so terribly flawed. The field investigation team never bothered to interview Albert and ask him if he passed anybody in the hallway as he went to the wrong door. That doesn't strike me as turning over every rock to get to the truth. So anyway, that's it for today. I'm heading up to my dad's farm later and we'll make some video stuff up there. I'll talk to you next time and have a good one.